Calories are the only thing that matter. Let's talk about it. One of the biggest mistakes that I see when someone's starting on really any diet, but we'll even say the keto diet, is just starting to focus on calories, right? Now, I get it because, can't even spell today. I get it because that's what we're told, right? A calorie is a calorie, and that's the only thing that matters. And if you want to lose weight, all you got to do is move more and eat less and be in a calorie deficit and blah, 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 blah. Well, why is it that we've been told that for multiple years, yet obesity keeps going up? Because there's obviously more than that. And here's the thing, is people will try to make you feel silly and say a calorie is a calorie. Now, if they're talking about, it's a unit of energy, got it. But to say that, 500 calories from steak is the same exact thing as 500 calories from a donut, well, you kind of have to question if they're all there, right? And the reason for that is because 500 calories of steak is going to fill you up a lot more than a 500 calories from a donut, right? Like 500 calories in a donut is like one donut. So that's a big thing that I see. So really what you need is a foundation, okay? This is the number one thing that we start to work on when people come into our program, is we make sure that we set them up with a solid foundation. Because think about like you're building a house, right? We start to build a house, we start to think of, oh, I want this wall to be like this, and I want the kitchen to be like this, and I want the backyard to have this. Well, let me ask you a question. Does any of that matter if you don't even have a foundation to the house? Because you could have the prettiest walls in the world, you could have the best backyard in the world, heck, you could have a gorgeous kitchen. But guess what's going to happen if a gust of wind comes over and you didn't build a solid foundation? Your house is going to fall, baby. And so you really want to make sure that you're focusing on the foundation and not just the calories, right? Now, in our program, we don't have our people focus on calories at all, because we do things in a very specific way. We set them up with foundation. We make sure that they're eating enough food for their metabolism, yada, yada, yada. But the reason we don't do that as well is because it leads to overthinking, right? You think that you're supposed to be at a certain calorie number, and that's just not the case. And regardless, your calories should be changed frequently, right? Now, what that means is you want to make sure that you're ranging every single day, right? You're going to have different food choices. You're going to do things every single day, because what can end up happening is if you have a set number of calories, it makes you adapt faster, right? Because your body's only job is to survive. And so especially if it recognizes something that you've done before, let's just say, for example, you've done 1,500 calories in the past, right? You did it for a while, you went back to your old ways, and, because life got in the way, whatever. You're like, oh man, well, I lost 10 pounds on 1,500 calories last time. I might as well go back to it. Well, guess what? Your body's going to recognize that number because it's a set number, and eventually, within a couple of weeks, it's going to be like, oh, we know that number, and it's going to adapt extremely fast, right? And so with our program, the reason it works so well, the reason we're able to lose 11 to 40 pounds every 12 weeks is because we are constantly changing things, not only on a day-to-day basis, but we are changing things monthly as well, right? But all that to say, it doesn't matter what your calories are if you don't have that foundation in place, right? You got to make sure that, number one, you're eating enough food, because if you just go straight to, 800 calories a day, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to start to feel like crap, number one. Number two, even if you do lose some weight, a lot of it's probably going to be muscle. Number two is, because you're so restricted, remember your body's response, okay? It always wants to be at what's called homeostasis. It always wants to be at maintenance. And so the reason you get hungry, the reason you have those feelings, the reason it tries to give you all these signals to eat more food, but you don't listen, well, one of them is it makes you crave like crazy, right? It makes you hungry like crazy. And then what happens is, because your calories are so low, you end up binging on your food, right? And don't get me wrong, there are times to be a little bit more aggressive, but when you're aggressive, you got to make sure that you have time back where you're not so aggressive. Okay, but without that solid foundation, without eating enough food, without knowing how to structure your meals, without even knowing that you don't need to buy keto labeled products, right? You need to be eating whole foods. Because let's be honest, people think, oh, well, you know, all it is just a cheese and bacon diet. Like that's really all I got to eat. Or I can make all of these keto snacks and I have to make these extravagant recipes. No, that's why you need that foundation. You need to know how to structure your meals. You need to know how to keep your blood sugar low. You need to know how to eat enough protein. You need to know how to eat enough fat before any of these actually matters. And like I said, regardless, they should change frequently. So I highly recommend that if you are doing this on your own, that you don't have a set calorie number. I know it's sexy. I know people love to say, I'm guilty of it. I used to say it too, where we're going to customize this plan specifically to you, and it's going to be this amount of calories. It's going to be, everybody's different, and it's going to range differently every single time. And so what we've done is create a system that works over and over and over again. But the thing is, the reason it works is because your body doesn't have a chance to adapt, right? And even when it's quote unquote about to adapt, guess what we're doing? We're manually changing them. So not only are they changing on a day-to-day basis because you're eating different foods, but we manually change them as well, right? And so if you have a set number, it's only going to make you adapt faster. Okay, so I'll end it with this. Anybody who tells you that calories is the only thing that matters, they're wrong. Because a calorie from a donut does not affect you the same way as a calorie from steak. Right now, can you technically eat very little calories and still lose weight? Yeah, but there's going to be a lot of repercussions that come from it. And so one of the biggest mistakes that I see, right? Remember, this is a series, is that people start with this. Right? People join keto camp like, hey, I know that you're having us track our food, but what should my calories be? I said, it doesn't matter. Follow it exactly the way it's laid out. Yeah, but it's telling me it's an app. Do you really think that it knows you specifically? Of course not. Right? And I get it. You've been told that your whole life, is that calories is all that matters. But I'm here to tell you that it's not all that matters. Right? Yeah, being a calorie deficit, that sounds sexy, right? But it's not that simple. And so we need to set ourselves up in a winning position. Okay, so that's one of the biggest mistakes that I see is when you're starting your journey, don't start with calories. Start with actually fixing the foundation of the problem. Don't just focus on, I really want to set this number. No, it's going to be different every single day. So all that to say, I hope that this helps you. And if it did, please let me know in the comments. I'll talk to you next time.